Hello, welcome to another one of my marvellously moulded videos. No YouTube Yonathon this. Now I've designed this video to make your life simpler in that exam hall because I'm a firm believer that quality of quotation beats quantity every time, and having at your disposal, having at your fingertips a few lines of dialogue that can apply to a number of exam questions, that's a canny strategy for securing the highest marks. And early in Act 1, Mr. Burling offers up this stinging line which sets out his political views in big neon lights. Mr. Burling sneers at people he calls cranks, people that think we should live, and here's the key quotation, as if we were all mixed up together like bees in a hive. Now the key interpretation here is that this bee imagery cleverly conveys Mr. Burling's dislike of socialism. He does not think that we should be all mixed together. He wants a fixed social ladder or hierarchy, with the poor very much in their place at the bottom. He's a capitalist, remember. He's not trying to secure equality for the worker. Far from it, Gromit. This is a man who will always put the needs of a privileged few before the needs of the struggling thousands. But now for Mr. Taylor's breathtakingly brilliant B-put analysis of this bees in a hive line. You can say it is ironic that it goes against expectation, Burling saying he doesn't want to live like bees in a hive, because when you think about it, a community of bees, hive society you might say, ho ho frickin' ho, a community of bees is actually organised more like a capitalist system than the socialist one that Burling was attempting to criticise in that line. Because in a hive you've got a large number of worker bees that we could liken to the proletariat, and these worker bees slave away, beaver away to foster and facilitate and create a life of ease and freedom and leisure for the drones and the queens. And of course we can liken those two top tiers to the bourgeoisie, the ruling class. Now hang on a minute, Mr. Taylor. Deep breath there, Grandad. You're getting overexcited. You're not telling me that JB Priestley wanted us to read all that deeply into this throwaway simile, are you? And the honest answer is no, I don't. In fact, if there is such a thing as heaven, he's probably up there looking down at me thinking I'm a big fat waste of space and oxygen for seeing things that aren't there. You know, the literary equivalent of the Emperor's New Clothes. You're seeing stuff there, Mr. Taylor, that isn't actually there. But the thing is, I mean, as much as I adore the man, I don't care what JB Priestley thinks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm in the fan club. I mean, I'm literally in the fan club, fully paid up member of the JB Priestley Society. But, funnily enough, to do well in this exam, I've got to please somebody I hate, the examiner. I'm writing for him, really. And I know that this bees in a hive, hierarchy, capitalist idea that I'm promoting is an intelligent, original interpretation that the examiner's going to adore. Let's take a moment to appreciate my daughter's lovely drawing there. Of course, if you don't like it, feel free to leave a waspish comment below. We're going to take that level 9 idea now about the bee imagery, and we're going to turn it into a level 9 paragraph, well written, contextualised. This response is going to have a delighted examiner, drooling and foaming like a fridge on the fritz. So, if a question bobs up in the exam that's on class or social class, this heavenly offering will do the business. I've colour coded it, the points in red, the evidence is in blue, explanation, interpretation, analysis, that's in purple, and that black stuff is the contextual details, relevant of course. The green stuff, why have I underlined bits in green? That's just keywords, I guess, linking the paragraphs to the question, which is on class of course. And the stuff in red, that's that high level vocabulary that's helping me secure that critical style that you get rewarded for in the exam. Just to clarify some of these words then, status quo, which is in the second paragraph, that just means the way things are. And sort, in that third paragraph, sort is just a high level term for tried. So, have a look at that, goggle at its beauty, it's a real level 9 winner, no question. This book sells itself, so there'll be no aggressive marketing from me. If you don't want it, that's fine. I'm not trying to chase J.K. Rowling up the bestseller list. But a few smart students will buy this book because they're bright enough to realise that having access to level 9 exam responses on questions you're likely to get in the exam is a clear shortcut to the highest marks. So buy it or not, it's up to you. Hey kid, let's talk of someone beastly, a selfish foolish bore from the pen of JB Priestley. Eva died and we gotta dole out blame. You know the guy I mean before I've even said his name. apologies there to Elton John, and well, anyone who had to endure that probably won't be happening again. Do apologise. Anyway, the next paragraph is going to link that bee imagery to Mr. Burley. There's a honey treat for sore eyes. I've tweaked bits and bobs as it's a different question, but these paragraphs are not a million miles away from my last response on the question of social class. I'll just clarify some of that high level vocabulary. Apian imagery. Apian is just an adjective meaning links to bees, so apian imagery, bee imagery. Apt means appropriate, and callous in that bottom paragraph, callous means harsh or cruel or hard, and aligned means linked to. Now the contextual detail here is very high level, and frankly if there's another contextual factor you'd rather play with for this section, go right ahead, put that in instead, no shame at all. Final paragraph coming up now, there'll be no commentary on this one. Again, the context is going to be a little bit obscure, so if you don't like it, don't use it. However, I do have videos to support both of my literary contextual details. I've looked at two novels, Blackout in Gretley, and this next paragraph is going to look at one of his other novels called Salt is Leaving. Have a goggle at those videos, it might support what I'm honking on about here. You know the drill by now, this is not your first exam response rodeo. Read this at your leisure. There's a word in that bottom paragraph, recurs, just means occurs again. Conclusions. We're a kick up the bum, off done now folks. Have a read of this if you wish, it just crystallises everything I've been droning on about for the past few minutes. And we're done. We've taken a small quotation, Mr. Burley says he doesn't want to live like bees in a hive, and we now know how to use it in an exam to sting the examiner into giving us a high mark. It's time for me to buzz off, as they say in Esperanto, adio, goodbye, and best of luck in that exam hall.